Did you know that there's different atsui? Should we talk about all the different atsui? 壁が熱そうだよ. As expected of the chief's office from a security company, the walls seem so thick. You know what else seems thick? Nothing. Nothing at all. There's nothing. Everything's fine. We're not gonna count weird ones like these. I've never seen this. And now, see, like, I'm gonna, like, read some, like, light novel or some article on the internet, and then some author's gonna think he's funny, and he's gonna put this instead of this. And then I'm gonna hate him. But yeah, usually you don't see this. I've never seen this variant. Usually you would see atsui, which is thick. Kind, cordial, hospitable, warm, faithful. This would be more atsui as in describing someone's like 性格, right? Like personality. Serious of an illness. Oh, I didn't know this, so I guess you can say interesting. Let me just try and Google atsui byoki. Is that a thing people say? Wait, let's try Google trick. If you put it in quotes, it will search for the exact phrase. 壁が熱い病気. I don't know if 子宮の壁が熱い病気. I don't know if this is right. I don't know because it says it's a illness where the womb walls are thick, essentially. But let's not go too deep into that. But yeah, so atsui, this is for thick, okay? Usually for like flat objects that are thick, like walls, or I don't even know, like it doesn't mean fat, so you can't use it for people, right? You can't say, oh, this is a thick person. That doesn't work. Usually it just means like deep or wide in diameter or something like that. Like not even wide in diameter, I shouldn't say. It's just like thickness, you know, like a wall is usually the way that it's used. The other one would be atsui, obviously hot. Oh, also notice a difference in pitch, which I wasn't really aware of, but apparently there's a difference in pitch as well for atsui, which is thick, and then atsui. Atsui. I guess it would be atsui, yeah, like that. Atsui. It's kind of these ones where it's like either nakadaka or heiwa. It's kind of subtle. I guess if you had like atsui hono, a hot flame, atsui hono, it would be like atsui hono, whereas the other one would be like atsui hono, which doesn't make sense. A thick flame doesn't really make sense. Atsui would be like atsui kabe. Interesting. I didn't know. I was unaware of the pitch difference there, but it's good to know. I don't know about the illness thing. The illness thing, I can't say. I can't really comment on like a severe illness. That's news to me. I don't usually. You say something like 重い. I thought it was 重い. Don't people say 重い病気? 医者が行っている病気の 重い病気の見分け方. Maybe stove would be a good example for thick, hot to the touch. Yeah, maybe a thick stove. This is actually a good one to pick apart here. 何でもいいけど今なら情報は集めやすそうだな. And immediately we think of abusing the situation. We abuse his weakness because it's what we do. So Naruhodo is saying, well, it doesn't really matter. 何でもいいけど, he's like saying like whatever. 今なら情報集めやすそうだな. 情報 means information, and then 集めやすそう. So there's like 3 parts in this. Well, so first of all, we have 集める, of course, which means to gather or to collect. And in the way that it's used here, very straightforwardly, gathering information. 情報を集める. So base form is 集める. And then here we have 集め. So it stops here. So this is one part, and then yasu is one part, and then so is one part. So we have atsumeru. So what are the parts? It's fairly straightforward actually if you look at it. So because atsumeru is an ichidan verb, so if we remove we now have the stem. So we would call this like mastem or renyoke. And then we have an auxiliary, which is yasui. So atsume yasui. Whenever you have mastem plus yasui, it just means easy to. And then we're basically almost done. Easy to or trivial to do something. This yasui here is not cheap. It's actually the other one. So it's this one, which means easy to. It's a suffix, and you can even see it explained here after mas stem of verb. So when you take a verb and you put in mas stem and you add yasui, it just means it's easy to do something. It's not difficult. It's the opposite of difficult, really. Yasui here acts as, I think this is sometimes straight up called like an auxiliary adjective. I have heard that before. I don't know if you like that term. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. The point is that yasui here acts a lot like an adjective because it kind of works like an e-adjective, right? If you look at the way it looks. It's literally it works exactly the way it looks. It conjugates exactly like an e-adjective. So what do we know about e-adjectives? Well, when you have an e-adjective, you can kind of get rid of the e and add so to mean it seems like that. So instead of yasui, you would end up with yasuso, which means, seems easy. And then you just combine those two. So seems easy to gather. Yeah, exactly. So this is essentially just Naruhodo making this like judgment call, being like, well, right now, because he's sympathizing with us, because remember, that's the conversation they're having, Itonoko just explained to us that he sympathizes. Like he says, I feel bad for you guys. So Naruhodo, being the manipulative dark triad person that he is, in his Machiavellian brain immediately says, oh, well, that's great. If he empathizes with us, we can manipulate him. Or rather, he says, well, right now, it seems really easy to get information out of him. 今なら, if right now, 情報を集めやすそうだな. It seems easy to gather information right now. そうだ, hearsay. No, hearsay would be だそうだ. So for this kind of thing would be 集めやすいそうだ. It depends, right? For things that are more noun, like it'd be だそうだ, and then for e-adjectives would be 安いそうだ. That would be hearsay. It's a tricky one, but if you have the e-adjective in place, seems would be 安そう, and hearsay would be 安いそうだ, or just 安いそう. But usually it's with だ, actually. I hear it more common with だ. Yeah, well, there you go. A real gold nugget for you all.